Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our science unit as we close out the month of July here very quickly. And, of course, science involves all sorts of things, including animals, stars, rocks, plants, and stuff like that. But today we're going to focus on mosquitoes.
Ooh.
Mosquitoes are nasty. I don't think anybody likes them.
I hate them.
They're always buzzing by our ears at night. And when we do manage to swat them... then they always leave this little splotch of blood or something, and that means that mosquito bit somebody, and that's no good. So yeah, why don't we just get rid of those little creatures, okay? We've got the science, we've got the technology. Yeah, why don't we just wipe them off the face of the earth?
Well, I've heard that they are actually trying to change the DNA on some of these mosquitoes, which scares me even more. I say leave nature alone. That's my plea to these weirdos out there trying to change the DNA of things. We're going to read through day 1 and day 2, talk about why we want to keep these little pesky mosquitoes around. They love me. I hate mosquitoes. I actually spray off on my face before I go to bed.
Ooh.
Which is only supposed to be on your body, but I put it on my face, and they still stung me the other day. I have a big red mark on my forehead. They make me so mad. But there is a reason why we need these little pesky mosquitoes around. We're going to find out. But first, as we always do, we're going to read through day 1.
Day 1. Is there anyone in the world that loves mosquitoes? They disrupt our sleep with the whine of their wings, they make our skin itch with their bites, and they kill more than 700,000 people every year. That's right. Mosquitoes kill more people annually than snakes and sharks do combined. By some measures, the mosquito is the deadliest animal in the world. However, its body count isn't due to any poison made by this insect. Instead, mosquitoes transmit diseases or parasites to humans when they suck our blood. Malaria is the most well-known disease carried by mosquitoes. It is mostly found in Africa, and although there are effective medicines for it, it still killed over 400,000 people each year from 2015 to 2019. While most people who get infected with malaria recover, it is a disease that can reoccur, leaving the patient to suffer episodes of fever, chills, and sweating, even after many years have passed since their first exposure. In Asia, Japanese Encephalitis is the mosquito-borne disease to watch out for. Bad cases of this virus, which causes swelling in the brain, can lead to headaches, vomiting, and confusion. There is a vaccine, but at least 10,000 people still die every year from this disease, and those who don't die run the risk of permanent damage to their brains. The Zika virus is another mosquito-borne disease that can damage human brains, but even worse, it mainly affects fetuses while they are still inside their mothers. Without mosquitoes around to spread these diseases, it would surely be a better world, wouldn't it?
Okay, guys, should we wipe out mosquitoes? If you wipe out something, it means you just kind of kill them completely. We also use the phrase wipe out to talk about having a really bad crash if you're on a scooter or a bike or what are the skateboards? Wow, he wiped out bad. But here, to wipe out something in this way just means you kill them so they're no longer in existence. They are gone. Want to wipe out. We'd really love to wipe out poverty. We'd love to wipe out starvation that's still happening around the world in places. So is there anyone in the world that loves mosquitoes?
Yeah, there are people who study mosquitoes, and indeed they are quite fascinating. There are thousands, if not millions, of different species of mosquitoes out there. In any case, we're answering this question. Yes, there are people in the world who love mosquitoes, but not very many. Most of us hate them, and the reason we don't like mosquitoes and other insects, mosquitoes in this particular case, we don't like them because they disrupt our sleep with the the whine of their wings.
Yes.
And they also make our skin itch with their bites. Not only that, but they turn our skin red.
Yeah.
And they also kill more than 700,000 people every year. So let's talk about this word disrupt here. That just means to interrupt. We're trying to get a good night's sleep. We've got an important test the next day, or we've got to get to work early. But a stupid mosquito is waking us up in the middle of the night, and we've got to figure out, gee, should I turn on the light and try to hunt it down and kill it? Or should I maybe turn on the fan and with the hopes that it will blow the mosquito away or something?
I have a fan on at night, too, right on my face to help.
It might help, indeed. People probably have different ways of dealing with this problem, but the problem still persists. We still have this problem. They disrupt our sleep. And, of course, the whine here is referring to that sound I just made.
Oh, yeah. And they get really close to your ear. It wakes me up because I'm a light sleeper. And so I do turn on the light, Tom, and I try to find that little mosquito to kill it.
Not easy, though, is it?
Never can, I know. So I think they're drawn to warm faces when it's winter. In the summer, my doors close more because I have the air conditioning on. But anyway, it's so irritating. Now, anybody can disrupt you. It could be because they're asking you a question and you're trying to focus. Or maybe, they're building or remodeling an apartment in your building, which is happening right now in my building. That can disrupt you, disrupt your study time, disrupt your sleep. And if something makes you itch, it's usually something you're allergic to. So if a bug bites you, you might find yourself scratching your arm or wherever you've had the bite. Remember, something doesn't itch you, something makes your skin itch. I've heard people go, oh, it's itching me. No, something makes your skin itch and you scratch it to try to relieve the itch, and it just makes it worse, doesn't it?
Yep, something's making me itch. Yeah, that is kind of a tricky there. But yes, it will make your skin itch. And, of course, these mosquitoes kill lots of people every year. The mosquitoes themselves don't kill the people. It's actually the pathogens that they carry, the germs and the
poison,
bacteria and viruses and stuff like that, which we'll get to in a second. So here it says, yes, that's right. Mosquitoes kill more people annually than snakes and sharks do combined.
Wow.
Yeah, we think sharks kill people or snakes kill people, but no, mosquitoes kill more than both snakes and sharks put together.
Ew.
Now, by some measures, by some statistics, the mosquito is the deadliest animal in the world. Yeah, which animal kills the most people? People might guess, oh, bears do, or sharks, or maybe even squirrels or something like that. I don't think squirrels kill people, but in any case here, very few people would guess mosquitoes, but yeah, by some measurements, by some statistics, yeah, mosquitoes are the deadliest animal in the world. If something's deadly, it causes death.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be deadly. So if anything is described as being deadly, stay away from it. I'm surprised that it ends up killing more people than a lot of other scary animals that are deadly. However, it says it's body count. Body count is how many people someone or something has killed when you count them all up. So sometimes they'll say, yeah, his body count was 10. Maybe there's this murderer who's on the loose. So body count. You'll see this when you're reading the newspaper or listening to the news, the body count. Now, it isn't due to any poison made by this insect. Remember, I said, oh, it's because of the mosquito's poison earlier. Well, I was wrong. They don't have poison that they make naturally. Instead, what happens is these mosquitoes transmit diseases or parasites to humans when they suck our blood, like little vampires. If you transmit something, it just means you send it. So you can transmit mail communication. You just pass something from one person to another or one thing to another. We can transmit using radio broadcast signals or television or the internet. Nowadays, we transmit lots of different ways. What's a parasite? A parasite is some sort of organism that lives by feeding off another organism. So that's kind of creepy, huh? Things like ticks are parasites, aren't they?
Yep.
Those little tiny bugs that are hard to see, that they will stick on your skin. Sometimes they go in your ear. My sister, when we went camping, got a little tick in her ear. And my grandmother knew that by heating up something hot and just using a little pin to poke that tick, that he'd fall off, and it was true.
Wow.
My grandma could do anything.
Grandmas always know the best remedies, don't they?
They do.
But in this case, we're talking about parasites. And, of course, again, that's a insect or organism that lives off another one. And they can be quite deadly as well. These mosquitoes transmit those diseases, or they transmit those parasites to humans. And they do this when they suck our blood. I believe the female mosquitoes are the ones that suck the blood. The males have some other role, and they don't really bite us.
They're probably just off playing somewhere.
Yeah, they're getting together with their buddies, watching sports on TV, drinking, being irresponsible, and stuff like that. But let's first of all talk about malaria. And I'd love to talk about that right now. I'm really anxious to talk about malaria and encephalitis.
Out of time.
But yeah, we don't have time to start talking about that now because we need to hear from our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们今明2天要带大家来讨论一下有关于蚊子这件事情。因为蚊子真的很讨厌，然后被咬呢又很痒，然后有时候睡觉的时候被蚊子干扰，真的就是不能睡了。所以我们是不是应该要把蚊子都杀光光，这样会比较好吗？好，我们赶快进入今天的文章。到底世界上有没有任何一个人真的很喜欢蚊子呢？大家都不喜欢蚊子啊，他们用翅膀嗡嗡嗡这种声音让我们不能睡觉，然后让我们皮肤很痒，然后每年至少杀超过70万人，让70万人丧生，没有错。到底是发生什么事呢？因为其实蚊子每年杀死的人数比蛇跟鲨鱼杀死的人数加起来还要更多。再来第3句这个地方，我们因为在比较蚊子杀人跟蛇和鲨鱼杀人这件事情，所以第3句倒数第2个字的这个 do， 这里的助动词其实是 kill。在同一句话当中，我们看到 kill 这个动词这个字，它的所谓的带动词，不是代名词而是带动词。好，再看一下句子，我们有比较2件事情，有一个超过，所以有 more than。那么接下来因为是比蚊子 Mosquitoes kill more people annually than snakes and sharks do。在这里的 do 就是 kill。那么 combine 的这里指的就是 snakes and sharks， 蛇跟鲨鱼结合起来 both alike 的意思。当然他们造成的死亡的统计数字并不是因为蚊子很毒，所以第4句话呢，我们来看到一下，有一个限定用法的关系子句哦。先行词是 any poison， 并不是因为任何的毒素，后面 made 到句尾先左右括号，省略的是 that is 被动式 that is made by this insect。 那到底为什么会死掉那么多人呢？因为蚊子在吸我们血的时候其实会传播疾病。同样这一段第6句最后一句话的地方看到传播 transmit something， to 后面这个介系词表示对象，所以这2个字要抓出来哦。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's continue talking about those nasty mosquitoes.
Okay.
And we're trying to ask this question, yes, or we're trying to ask and answer this question. Should we wipe out mosquitoes? Should we get rid of them? They seem to be more trouble than they're worth. Well, let's first of all talk about a disease that these mosquitoes carry. It's malaria, which is, according to Yvette here, 疟疾 is how you say it in Chinese. And malaria is the most well-known disease carried by mosquitoes. They carry lots of other diseases, but this is the most widely known one, malaria.
Yeah, it's mostly found in Africa. I think of malaria as a jungle disease, a place where there are just lots of bugs and, it's hot and So it's found there mostly, but you can get malaria in other countries too, or other continents. And although there are effective medicines for it now, there really are. There are effective medicines for malaria. It still is killing a lot of people each year. It says here it still killed over 400,000 people each year from 2015 to 2019. So some of these people obviously can't get their hands on the right medicine. And the effective medicines, by the way, are very, very inexpensive. So it's sad that we can't save more lives because we do have medicines that can counter or work against malaria.
They're probably too cheap, so pharmaceutical companies can't make a lot of money by using those cheap medicines.
Actually, we make it here. It's HCQ. Taiwan is the second largest producing country.
Okay.
So, yay, go Taiwan. Yeah.
Fair enough. But again, malaria kills lots and lots of people, mainly in Africa here. And that figure here of 400,000 is referring to the period from 2015 to 2019. And while most people who get infected with malaria recover, it is a disease that can reoccur, which means it can happen again, and that will leave the patient to suffer episodes of fever chills and sweating even after many years have passed since their first exposure.
It's true.
So here we've got the word infect, and if you get a virus or if you get bacteria or if you get some sort of sickness, you have been infected. And of course, here in Taiwan, not many people have been infected with the COVID-19 virus, but I understand a lot of people in India were infected back in April there, so that was pretty terrible then. And, of course, lots of people still get infected with malaria. But again, even if you get it once, you can still get it again. It can reoccur, even if you didn't get bitten by another mosquito.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about malaria, is it just keeps returning. It's not like you get the disease once and it's over with. No, it comes back. It reoccurs, meaning it happens again. And they suffer episodes of fever, chills, and sweating. Episode just means a round of. It's kind of like the way we use episode for TV series, right? The first episode, the next week will be the second episode. So it's just a period of time where they suffer again. And it's really uncomfortable. So even after many years have passed since their first exposure, they're still suffering from that darn malaria. Exposure just means you are being something is allowed to impact you or affect you, exposure. You can have exposure to the cold if you go outside without a proper jacket. You can have exposure if the media follows you around and is taking your picture and putting gossip in the newspaper about you. That's media exposure. Now, some companies want exposure for their products that they're selling because they want the publicity. So that's a good or positive way to use exposure. But exposure to malaria is a negative thing.
Exposure can also be a photographic term.
True.
How long the sensor or the film is exposed to light in the camera. Hey, this picture was taken with an exposure of 30 seconds. Okay, now here in the final paragraph it says, in Asia, Japanese encephalitis is the mosquito-borne disease to watch out for. which means you got to be careful about this disease. Since we're in Asia, we got to watch out for this encephalitis, which is called Japanese encephalitis. So I guess there are different kinds of encephalitis, which is 脑炎 in Chinese, encephalitis. And yes, it's mosquito-borne. Mosquitoes carry this disease from person to person.
Yeah, so it is actually the inflammation of the brain. It causes your brain to expand. That is a bad thing. So bad cases of this virus does cause swelling. That's the same for the word that's inflammation if it's swelling, inflammation of the brain. Now, it can lead to headaches. Vomiting is the act of throwing up whatever is inside your stomach. You're vomiting. And confusion. There is a vaccine for encephalitis, but at least 10,000 people still die every year from this disease. Wow. So a vaccine is when they give you a shot that has a dead particles from that disease that helps your body know and recognize it and fight against it. If it comes into contact with that, yeah, that's bad. 10,000 people are still dying every year from that. And those who don't die run the risk of permanent damage to their brains. That's what I've heard about encephalitis, that it really does a lot of brain damage. Anytime anything in your body swells up, it's not a good thing. It can cause a lot of damage to your organs. So be careful with that. Make sure you've looked into the vaccine. I don't know if they give them here in Taiwan, but I'm assuming that most of the people probably get that vaccine. Now, if you talk about the word permanent, it just means forever. It's not temporary, it's long-term, it's permanent, it will last forever.
Yeah, permanent, of course, is also used to describe a certain kind of hairstyle. It's shortened to perm. Hey, I got a perm the other day. But here we're talking about damage to your brain, and your brain will never recover. The damage is permanent. It will never get better. Now, let's talk about the Zika virus. It's another mosquito-borne disease that can damage human brains. We heard about that in Africa and Brazil, I believe, a few years back. But even worse, it mainly affects fetuses while they are still inside their mothers. So that's pretty bad. These little babies don't even have a chance to come out healthy. They get sick from this mosquito-borne disease, which is from the Zika virus. No good.
Yeah, and when the little babies are born, their heads are misshapen. They look very funny, and you can see immediately that they have had exposure to the Zika virus. It's so sad. So, yeah, that's another one you want to look out for. I know in Florida, where it's quite humid and hot, similar to Taiwan in the summer, they were going around and getting rid of all the little puddles of water that mosquitoes thrive in. If you've got water that's just sitting around, better watch out. Mosquitoes love that little puddle of water. And so they were trying to get rid of as much as they could so that it wasn't as dangerous, especially for the pregnant women. Because, once you're infected and that baby's born, there's no help. You really can't help that baby.
Okay, so we've painted a pretty terrible picture here of what mosquitoes can do. So without mosquitoes around to spread these diseases, it would surely be a better world, wouldn't it, if we didn't have them? Okay, so yeah, without them around, wouldn't the world be a better place? That's a good question to ask. And yeah, perhaps we do have ways to wipe out mosquitoes. As Stephanie was mentioning before, maybe we can alter their DNA or something so they can't reproduce as much as they used to.
Well, they're finding that that's causing other problems.
Indeed, that might cause some problems as well. That's why we're kind of asking this question.
What can we do?
Yeah, can we really get rid of them, or do we have to live with them in the world? And our next lesson, next time, we'll try to address that very question. Again, the question is, should we wipe out mosquitoes? Make sure you join us again then. But before we say goodbye today, we need to hear once again from our Chinese teacher.
到底有哪些疾病呢？比如说最著名的就是疟疾了， Malaria 是蚊子 传播疾病当中最著名的一种。我们在第二段的第一句话当中看到简化的关系子句，先行词是 the most well-known disease， 又有一个最高级，它也是一种强调，所以后面 carried 到句尾的地方其实省略的是 that is， 而且冠带一定要用 that 哦，因为先行词是最高级。那么 Malaria 疟疾主要是在非洲啦，虽然现在已经有有效的药物可以治疗，不过从2015年到19年，每年还是会有超过40万人死于疟疾。那么当然，大多数的这些感染疟疾的人都能康复，可是它还是会复发，而且尤其是即便你已经是得过疟疾多年之后，如果你再复发的话，会出现什么发冷啊、发烧啊、出汗这些症状。不过当然另外一种比较恐怖的疾病就是日本脑炎了。那么日本脑炎当然要非常注意，而且我们知道都有疫苗，小时候都有打了。好，那么当然这种如果真的得到日本脑炎啊，如果有很严重的状况的话，可能会整个大脑肿胀，然后头很痛啦、呕吐啦、精神错乱啊等等，会有这些状况的产生。在第二句的地方，我们看到有一个插入的补充说明的这种关系子句，逗点当中的 which 到 brain 可以把它左右括号起来， which 指的是前面， this virus 指的是日本脑炎这种病毒。好，当然我们知道有疫苗啦，可是每年还是会有至少1万人死于所谓的日本脑炎。那没有死掉的病患呢，他就面临大脑其实是永久受损，有这种很高的风险。我们来看一下第三句的地方，有一个先定用法的关系子句，其实是很熟悉的 those who 所以逗点之后的 those 是先行词， who 到 die 这里可以左右括号，那些没有过世的病人，没有死掉的病人如何。好，还有一个就是我们之前一直在谈的兹卡病毒。兹卡病毒就是另外一个真的很危险的疾病，因为它会损害人类大脑。最糟的是，如果怀孕的妈妈被有兹卡病毒的蚊子咬到，其实它主要的影响是母体内的这个 fetus， 是胎儿。好，我们来看一下这个第四句的地方。这个第四句呢，其实也有先定用法的关系子句，先行词从前面的 another 开始， another mosquito-borne disease， 有 another 这个特别的强调的字眼，就导致了后面的 that 冠带一定会用 that 哦。好，那么关系子句的结束是在逗点前面 brings 的地方。不过最后面这一句要特别小心，如果没有蚊子的话，世界会更好吗？最后这一句的 without mosquitoes， 它其实是假设语气哦，与现在事实的相反的假设语气。所以我们看到动词之后的 it would surely wouldn't it， 这个会不会更好的会都会用过去式，因为这句话是与现在事实相反的假设语气。以上是我们今天的内容，明天我们还会讨论一下没有蚊子的世界会不会更好呢？我是安娜，明天见。
That's it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and please join us again next time when we continue to talk about mosquitoes. Should we wipe them out, or should we learn to live with them? From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.